600 hours. They say in flying, when you learn how to fly, that every time you go up for a flight, every time you take off, you're going to learn something new until you get up around 500 to 600 hours. Now, if you learn how to fly, there's 3 different kinds of instructors. There's a poor instructor, usually one who doesn't have very much experience and who's only doing it for the money. There's a fair instructor, a good instructor, who has a little bit of experience, who still doesn't have enough. And then there's the great instructor, the one that has a lot of hours, a lot of experience, a lot of wisdom, and is a good teacher. And fortunately, my first 2 instructors were poor and good. Unfortunately, they moved shortly after I got each one of them. And so I ended up finally with the great instructor that actually instructed me most of the time when I was learning how to fly. And he used to, every time we'd go up, he would sit there, because his background was he had been in the Air Force. And he used to be an instructor for instruments, tell people or teach people how to use their instruments and do instrument type of flying. It's called IFR. And because of that, he used to emphasize that. Even when I was first learning, he would sit there as we'd come back to the airport, getting ready to come in and land. All of a sudden he'd go, well, let's move over here. We'd move over. And then he'd sit there and go, okay, close your eyes. I close my eyes, and then he'd put the plane in some weird position. He'd go, open your eyes, recover. And I'd have to recover. And sometimes he'd sit there and go, close your eyes. Now, when you open your eyes, I want you to look at the instruments, and I want you to recover. Don't look outside. And he would train me that way. And so I got a lot of instrument training. Then when I went on to a commercial training and instrument training, he was also my instructor. So I got an airplane here as an example, because I'm going to tell you a story. This is one of those scary flying stories. Now, some friends and mine decided after work that we'd go over to Windover and play. So we went out to the airport. We took a 6-seater airplane that had kind of club seating in the back where the seats face each other. And I took off, and there's a total of 4 of us. Took off to Windover. Got to Windover, played, came out at night, pitch black. I already had checked and knew there wasn't any moon that night. Now, why would I check? Because Windover has a history of pilots taking off from the south to the north, and when there's no moon, there's no horizon, it's solid black, and they crash. So over the years, not only military pilots, because that was a military base, but also private pilots have crashed, not seeing the horizon. So I was prepared. I went in. You didn't think I was going to have a seat without flying, but I went in, got in the airplane, all of us, and we took off, went down the runway. And that's a real long runway. It used to be made for bombers. So we actually entered the runway about halfway, because you're never going to use it all. And so I had time that as we took off, I trimmed everything on the airplane so it would hold position. It wouldn't move around. It would just stay in one position and continue to climb. Well, everything was great. We started flying over the town and the highway. And all of a sudden, one of the people in the back said, hey, look at the window. Look at those lights. Look how pretty it is. I didn't know there's that many buildings. Wow, look at that. And everybody was looking out the side. And I did what I knew I shouldn't do. The airplane with this attitude, I'm sitting here like this. I turned my head, looked down and back, and brought my head forward. That immediately put me into spatial disorientation, but what was worse, vertigo. Now, maybe you've heard of vertigo where you have a lack of spatial orientation or you go dizzy. This was severe enough that when I came back and looked at the instruments of the airplane, there was nothing there. I had gone into my mind. So my ear and my brain was working together, and I actually could not see a thing. And I'm sitting there, and you're kind of in a high state. Those of you who have been in drugs maybe know this state. But you're in a high state where you're sitting there going, la, 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 la. Gee, I could die. And that literally came to my thought. I could die. La, 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 la. I don't care. And then all of a sudden, what came in was the training. Look at the instruments. Look at the instruments. And have you ever had a dream or been asleep and you try to come out from a dream that's a nightmare and you can't wake up? You're sitting there, you're fighting, you're going, I can't wake up, I can't wake up.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there fighting, well, that's the way this was. I sitting there going, look at the instruments, look at the instruments. And I kept hearing my instructor's voice say this, and then all of a sudden I heard my voice saying, look at the instruments, and I forced myself, and all of a sudden, boom, there was the instruments. And I looked at everything was okay. Out in front of me, totally black. What seemed like minutes was only seconds. Nobody in the airplane even knew what happened. So it was the training that helped me out. So what's the moral of the story? The moral of the story is if you have a good instructor, somebody can teach you well. We'll see that. Lights. If you have a good instructor, somebody that teaches you well, they can save your life. And I was thinking about this, and on Monday I got an email from SCORE. Does everybody know what SCORE is? And they had this little email that says, choose a mentor. And I thought, you know what? My instructor was a mentor. And because he was so good of a mentor, he helped me out. I'm still alive today because of a lot of things that happened in my flying career where his training had helped me a lot. So what's the difference? If we look for a mentor, do we want, like my earlier instructors, a good mentor? A poor mentor? If you have a business, don't you want the best mentor? If you have a situation where I was just asked, Janny asked about YouTube, get a YouTube mentor, the best. And get advice from the best, because in your business, in your career, you could be like me, where you could actually get in a situation you can't handle and you crash. Your career goes down, your business goes down. And yet if you choose the right mentor, then you don't have to worry about that. That mentor, because of their experience, their background, will be able to help you. So that's the moral of my story, is to pick somebody. Don't make sure you're not getting somebody who's just good or poor. Make sure you get the best as a mentor. Thank you.